Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I would say sun's out, guns out, but the sun's not quite out today on the range. This is going to be the first in a three-part series on these inexpensive German revolvers. And you may have seen these on the market. They've been on the US market for decades. I don't think any of them are being imported anymore, but there were so many that were imported back 40, 50 years ago that there are lots of them still on the market. This one's from RG, that's another RG. I believe these are both marked Arminius. Now, for all I know, they could all have been made in the same place by the same manufacturer. They all have very similar features and characteristics, but they are marked differently, and there are some differences between one and another. And so we're going to evaluate them and see, are these effective? Are they a viable choice maybe for defense? Let's find out. Okay, guys, I'd like to start with this particular Arminius. It's marked Arminius here, and it's got a little Arminius logo here. You'll see a lot of these old guns that are marked Arminius, and they have this logo. Can you get a tight close-up of? Sometimes it's on sort of a little sticker or decal that's on the frame. That one appears to be sort of molded into the frame, cast into the frame. I can't tell. This particular revolver is 38 Special. I've got a little snub nose over there that's also 38 Special, and the other full-size revolver is 357 Magnum, so that's going to be interesting. But you can see it has a lot of features in common with a Smith. This particular one doesn't seem to have a rear sight at all. That's missing, which is a shame. But this one has a latch here, just like a Smith & Wesson would. And on most of these, you can grab the cylinder pin out here, the ejector rod, and pull on it. So you don't actually have to have that latch. The little snubby doesn't really have a latch here. You just grab on the ejector rod and pull on it. But these are double action, single action. You can thumb back the hammer, fire them in single action or fire them in double action. They almost always have these sort of brown plastic grips. This looks like a one-piece grip that, yeah, just screws onto the bottom. That one's a little unusual. I have shot these before and generally gotten good results. Our rear sight, when it was present, was click adjustable. Now, there's still sort of a notch here, and we can still aim this, but it doesn't really have a rear sight anymore. The front sight is part of this rib, and this rib is a separate piece from the barrel. When the owner of this revolver bought it, this rib is held on with two screws. When the owner bought it, one of these screws was missing. The rear screw was present, but the front screw was missing, and that front sight would just flop back and forth. So he moved that screw forward, and that kept it more stable. But he went to a hardware store and he found another screw that has the same thread pitch and diameter. And even though it doesn't have the same head on it, it works pretty well. It keeps the rib in place. It's quite solid now. So for a cheap fix on a cheap revolver, that's okay. Now, these have like a zinc alloy frame or something. I don't think these are steel, some kind of cast. I don't know what it is. It doesn't give a lot of confidence. But I've shot these before and found them reliable. They work. I mean, they're in some cases even reasonably accurate. This one has had a hard life. We got a little bit of play, a little more than I would like in the cylinder there. It seems to have a little less play once the hammer's cocked. And once the hammer is fully forward and we're on the trigger, maybe a little less. To my mind, that is within acceptable limits. It's not a big deal. I've seen brand new revolvers that have that much play, but it's not great. It's not what I'd expect from a Smith & Wesson or a Ruger or what have you. And this isn't a Smith & Wesson or a Ruger. It's an inexpensive gun. These guns are pretty much 38 Special plus P, or no, standard pressure only, not plus P. So you're very limited in terms of the ammo you can shoot. There's lots of standard pressure ammo on the market, of course, but the stuff that tends to be effective for personal defense tends to be plus P, and this isn't plus P. I wouldn't shoot plus P through this. So you'd have to find some standard pressure ammo that the gun likes reasonably well and that works for you for defense. If you're happy with lead round nose or full metal jacket, well, you'll have no problem, or wad cutters. But if you want expanding bullets, it can be tough to find expanding bullets that are standard pressure. They do exist, but you might have to look around and see what you can find that works in this gun. I will say this, I had one of these years and years ago, another Arminius. I don't think it was the same model, but I don't remember. It was in 38 Special. I've had one in 22 long rifle. The 22, I got dirt cheap and thought it would be, well, it'll be the kind of gun you toss in your tackle box or whatever. It turns out that gun shot beautifully, not only very reliable, a pleasure to shoot. It shoots great groups. It's one of the most accurate rimfire revolvers I've tried, more accurate than any Smith I've tried. It was a real diamond in the rough. The 38 Special that I shot previously was okay. It was reliable, and it would, reliable with an asterisk, and it would group reasonably well. It was fine. I say it was reliable. With my hand loads, it was 100% reliable. But I tried some Winchester white box ammo, and I'm not picking on Winchester, just it happened to be that particular load. Could have been somebody else's ammo. But I tried some factory ammo, and it would misfire about half the time. And I took it to a fellow I knew who was, I wouldn't call him a gunsmith, but he worked in a gun shop, or he ran a gun shop, and he would do a little bit of gunsmithing. And I took it to him and said, hey, can you get this revolver functioning more reliably? And what he did, I've seen him do it before, was he took the grips off, and there's a coil mainspring around a steel strut, and he took that strut out, took the spring out, and he reached in his desk drawer, and he would keep them there for this purpose. He got out some washers and hex nuts, and he put a couple little hex nuts on the strut and then put the spring back on. And so when he reinstalled all of that, spring was held under more tension than before because those hex nuts took up a 1/4 inch or something of the spring's travel. And so that gave the hammer just enough more velocity that it was then reliable with any ammo I could find. So I could find ammo that was reliable with it before, but it was much more reliable afterward. And I don't know if this one will be the same. We'll see. We'll see if we get any misfires. But if you've got an old revolver like that, a real cheap and quick and easy fix can be just to put in a spacer, like a hex nut or something, to take up some space along that hammer strut, assuming you have the same kind of spring, not a flat leaf spring or something. It works. It's quick and cheap and easy, and it works. Let's shoot this one. I didn't point it out before. This revolver has sort of a thumb rest, sort of a target grip. I don't know what to call that. Obviously for righties only. For a lefty, it wouldn't be nearly so comfortable, but for a righty, it's very nice. I don't remember seeing one of these Arminius or German guns with a little thumb rest before, so that's kind of cool. Okay, we're shooting from about 15 yards. I'm shooting Winchester white box, 130 grain, full metal jacket, very plain target ammo. 15 yards is a long way when you don't have a rear sight, so I guess I'm optimistic. I gotta say, these grips are not a great fit for my hand. I kind of take a good firing grip, but then when I bring it up to the target, my hand wants to slide up. And choking up on the revolver is good and gives you a better, more stable purchase, but there's kind of this hump at the back that's kind of digging into my hand. It just might fit your hand better. It doesn't fit my hand great. I'm gonna go down there and see if I hit it. Okay, I've hit our adversary down around the belt buckle. I think that's the problem with not having a rear sight. I'm shooting really low. Let's try again. Getting clouds of smoke. I'll take a big step to my right. Go have a look at the target. All right, this was our first shot, and in no particular order, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that group is not great. Can I cover it with one hand? Yeah. At 15 yards, is that terrible? No. But it ain't great. Is that because the revolver can't shoot accurately? Maybe. Is it because it doesn't like this ammo? Maybe. I'm going to say primarily it's the fact that we don't have a rear sight. I'm lining up that front sight in this sort of shallow notch, and I'm approximating what a rear sight should be, but obviously it's good enough. I mean, I've got hits on the silhouette, but this isn't what we really want. For defensive use, if this were your defensive revolver and you were just here, I mean, you wouldn't have a problem. You just need a very coarse sight picture. As long as you see that front sight, you're good. You may not even need to see the front sight at this kind of range. But once we move out to 5, 10, 15 yards, you really need some kind of sights. This one, sadly, probably can't deliver really good accuracy ever again until we get a rear sight, and I don't know where you get parts for one of these. So yeah, as an arm's reach kind of pistol, we still have a winner. It's fine, but for any kind of range, any kind of distance, it's hard to get hits. Obviously I do have hits, but they're not great. Some of my firing pin impacts on the primers are a little off center. And you know, you see that even with high quality revolvers. But this one, I'm going to say that's probably a result of all that play in the cylinder. If I did this like Uncle Paul, I would hit that ejector rod and knock those all out. But I mean, it's got an ejector star. He empties ejector without too much trouble. We've got a revolver with possibilities. If you had only a very limited budget and you needed a revolver, defensive revolver, this one could serve. But you've seen me on the channel handle and shoot budget revolvers that were probably a better choice than this. This one's not great. If it had a rear sight, I think that would improve it a lot. Oh, I should also point out, with so much play here, let me look at the cylinder gap. Oh, cylinder gap is fairly tight. That's good. With so much play here, and you know, presumably kind of sloppy tolerances on this one because it's cheap and because it's old and it's led a hard life, I was worried that we would get a lot of blast coming around the forcing cone, that we would get shavings of bullets or a lot of gas, and that is what we got. I could feel on my left thumb when I fired, I could, number one, see a lot of flash coming out here, and I could feel it too. So that's another thing to watch out for. Shooting this is not entirely pleasant. I mean, it's only standard pressure ammo. It's not like it's not terrible. I could probably literally wrap my hand around this and fire it. I'm not going to. I could probably do that without any severe injury, but it is unpleasant. And if you did get your thumb or some finger out here, I mean, there's a chance you could end up with a little powder burn or something. It's something to watch out for on these. Don't know what to tell you other than it's a cheap revolver and we shouldn't ask too much of it. But even asking relatively little, it's not giving us a lot. Hopefully we'll have some better luck with those other German guns. Stay tuned.